Hi friends. Today I'm going to show you a really cool trick of something that you can do with a marker that maybe you haven't done before. There's two different kinds of markers that you can find in most of our houses. One of them is a permanent marker. That's what this one is right here, a Sharpie. Permanent markers are the ones that don't erase even if you get water on them. Okay. The other kinds of markers are the ones that you have probably like in your box at school. These are the markers that get all smudged and smeary, like when my hand goes through them or when my paper gets wet. We want to learn how to do something new with these today. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of tricks of something that you can do. You're going to need at least this marker. If you've got a permanent marker, that's great too. You're going to need a paintbrush and some water. Now, if you don't have a paintbrush at your house, you can also use a Q-tip. You might have some of these in the bathroom. Ask your mom about that. Okay, so here's a couple of things I want you to try with your markers. Okay, one thing I could do is I could draw a picture. So I'm going to use my permanent marker. I'm just going to draw something right here. Let's see. I'm going to draw a happy face. I'm going to draw this little emoji guy. Okay, oh my goodness. Oh, he's going to be surprised. What? Mrs. Varney, what in the world are you doing? Oh my goodness, look at this little guy. Okay, oh, he needs ears. Okay, now, if I wanted to color him, normally I would just use one of my markers and just color him in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace him with this marker now. So I'm going to come right on top of that line, and I'm going to make it a good thick line of this color. Okay, and I'm using orange, but you could use whatever color you wanted. Again, this time I'm using the markers that get all yucky when you get them wet. Now watch what happens. If I dip my paintbrush in some water and I rub over this with my paintbrush, it's going to start pulling the color. Now this one's not working as well as some other colors, but don't you worry, I'm going to show you some other ones. Okay, this one is pulling a little bit of that orange into the middle. Now, watch what happens if I did something like a blue circle. Different ones of these markers work better than others. I always like to make a good thick color because that is going to make things pull much better. Oh, there we go. Do you see how it's turning into this lovely kind of watercolor when I get the inside of this space wet? Now, if I start going crazy and doing this, do you see how that color goes all outside? I don't want my color to go outside. I want to control where my color is going. So when I'm doing my paintings, if I'm making, a flower, I'm going to keep that orange color inside the middle of my flower so that I have room to do these lovely other colors on the outside. Now, you can do drawings with your permanent marker like I did with my little smiley face guy, and then put a layer of color on top of them. But you can also just draw with those regular markers and add some add some water and turn them into paint in the middle. Okay, you're just going to pull the color from outside of there, and it gives you these really lovely watercolors. I'm going to show you real quick with a Q-tip. It works exactly the same way. Okay, so if I've got a triangle, I'm going to make it nice and thick so that it's got a lot of color. Just imagine like that's your paint that you're pulling from. I'm going to get my Q-tip wet this time, and I'm still just going to fill in on the inside and pull that color from my marker right there into the middle, and it's going to make it all nice and colorful on the inside. Now remember, this is going to look like watercolor paint, and watercolor paint you can kind of see through. It's not super dark and thick. Play around with this and see what you can draw and see what kind of designs you can come up with using paint, but not really using a marker for paint. Good luck, guys.